Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Inside Out. Believe it or not, I'm back. I need a little bit of help with you tonight to tell me if I am coming through clearly to you. So I really do appreciate the opportunity to come back and talk to you. For those of you who are not familiar and you're new to Tim and Inside Out, I am Dan Colgan, and I am the original host of Inside Out, and I want to take the opportunity to thank Danny for taking this task over after I announced my candidacy this past fall, spring, whenever the heck it was. So I want to thank you all for joining me. This is going to be a very laid-back edition of Inside Out. I have been advised to keep my hands below or to keep my hands sitting on my hands. For those of you who understand what I mean by that. I do not like this new format. You can see me. I'm used to being able to hide behind the golden microphone, as they say, but I'm not able to do that here with this video camera in my face. I'm used to, again, being on the other side of the camera. Text us, let me know if you are watching tonight, where you're watching from. We're going to cover a number of topics here tonight. If I'm coming through too loudly, although I do see that coming in red, so I'm going to back off the microphone just a little bit so that I don't blow you away. If you can hear me, please let me know for sure, because, again, this is a new technology for me, so I am trying to not look away from the camera like I have been doing. I have a monitor, let's see, on this side of me, and I'm trying to keep an eye on things as we go here. So I see people watching, but I don't see any comments yet. So if you're joining us, please let me know, and we'll try to cover a number of topics here. First of all, let's talk about where we are in McSherrystown. We are approximately 29 days from E-Day. The election is November the 6th. I'm sorry, November the 5th. And of course, as you are aware already, we have 5 candidates running for office in McSherrystown for the Borough Council. Myself, Mark Lookenbill, George Staub. And one of the things I will say is that I generally blank out every now and then here when I'm trying to look at 5 different things at once. So if I misspeak, I apologize. Mark Lookenbill, Joyce Groft, Joyce Murrin, George Niederer, see what I mean? I just go blank some days. George Staub, and who am I missing? Mr. Bill Smith. Again, I don't like this to be a forum for the candidate. This was one of the reasons I backed off of doing Tim during this time period, because I don't want it to become a Dan Colgan or a candidate show. I want it to be something that you can enjoy, that we can inform you and give you information. Now, I have to, again, I started to say this, and I want to make sure I finish the thought. I want to thank Danny Smith for taking this to a different level. She is very well spoken behind a microphone. She handles herself very well, and for that I am truly thankful. So again, for the vast number of months here since the candidacy started, since the campaign started, she's been filling you in on all the things that are going on in and around McSherrystown in regards to some of the things we'll talk about tonight. You are welcome and encouraged to send me your thoughts and comments. I have messages coming up here on the Facebook page, so I do want to take a chance here and just take a gander at what's being commented. Let's see here. There we are. So, okay, that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. The first thing I want to talk about tonight is, again, voting etiquette. One of the things I'd like to talk about tonight. And again, if I don't look at the camera, I apologize. I'm used to being able to kind of just wing it. And with my camera here, I kind of can't do that. A lot of people have asked me questions. Some, I won't say a lot. Some people have asked me questions in regards to, and this is more or less just a tip on what to do if you should happen to run into these circumstances. Should you happen to create a ballot that you do not want to go through with, you have every right to request a new, fresh ballot. They call them spoiled ballots, and they happen in every election. If you and just so you know, in the last primary election, I screwed up my ballot because I wasn't paying attention. So simply just ask the ladies and gentlemen helping there. It's their job to help you through whatever problems you may be experiencing or any questions you might have. So if you have a situation where you've marked the wrong candidate or you've marked too many candidates, make sure your vote is counted and fill out a new ballot, and they will take care of spoiling your first ballot. So you have that opportunity the entire time that you're in the voting area. Again, I anticipate this to be a very large turnout this November 5th. So I suggest that you come early. And get your voting taken care of early on in the day. I'm used to seeing comments here. I'm not sure if the comments are off or what the situation here is. So if for some reason or another you're typing, please let me know. And I'm not seeing them, so I'll let you know that right off the bat. Thank you all for joining us. Large early crowd here tonight. I hope you're not disappointed. But we're going to talk about one of the major issues that have been going on and some of the things that are coming up. First of all, I have been on with Danny a number of times over the last couple weeks talking about the Eisenhower extension. Folks, this is a huge issue. It is going to affect McSherrystown residents, whether you realize it or not at this point. And one of the things that I need you, or we as a collective community need you to understand, is that while the Eisenhower extension's motivation, the original intention of this was to remove traffic and move it out away from McSherrystown, the unfortunate part about this is that it has turned some of the intentions of groups around. Okay, I don't see yeah, so maybe Jen can bring me her phone so I can see what's going on. Thank you, honey. There we go. You can hear me great? Well, that's wonderful. I wish I'd say something that is worth talking about. No, in all seriousness, I do joke a lot, folks. This was supposed to be, and unfortunately sometimes cannot be, as lighthearted as we would like it to be. But we want you to feel comfortable and able to ask your questions and get your answers. What has been missing in our lives, I will talk from personal experience, is the ability to ask questions of our elected officials and actually get an answer. I think that sometimes through the day in and day outs of meetings and issues that they deal with, a borough council, this particular borough council, doesn't necessarily take the steps necessary to answer questions for you. And that's one of the things that I think needs to change. In regards, again, back to the conversation about the Eisenhower Drive extension, I will not present to you that I am an expert in this situation. I do know a good bit about all of the things that have been discussed, the routes that they are looking at, more likely 2 routes at this point. But there is, a good deal of consternation that has come up surrounding this supposed solution to the McSherrystown traffic. And again, it wasn't just McSherrystown. It was the southern part of Adams County through McSherrystown. But it has been earmarked and nicknamed the McSherrystown Bypass. Unfortunately, it's not going to do any of those things. What has come about are a number of developments, residential developments in the mapped area that would be the Eisenhower extension. And in doing so, we are talking about 600 and some odd homes in Hamilton Township, which by not just my comment here, but documentation from officials in Conowalga Valley School District, identifying that we'd be looking at approximately 1,100 students, which, if you're familiar with Conowalga Valley School District, there are 33 or 3,400 students who attend the district. That is 1/3, folks, 1/3 population increase in just that one development. There are others which have been presented to township boards in Conowalgo Township that would increase it even more. Folks, let's be real. Your taxes in McSherrystown will increase. How much? What is the matter that we have no way of knowing that at this point? A significant, I will say, a significant amount. That's not here to scare you. It's the reality of the situation. When you build homes and increase the population of a school district, we have been told that based on those estimates, that there will be a new school in Conowalga Township. I'm sorry, in Conowalga Valley School District, simply because right now they are at maximum capacity. Their population is at maximum. There is nowhere for new students to go. Hence, there's going to be a new school. How do we pay for that? We pay for that with real estate taxes, property taxes. Is the Pennsylvania legislature going to solve that problem in the time period we're talking about? Absolutely not. We have been talking about this now for close to a half of a century. There is virtually no solution that is going to be a quick solution to this. So your property taxes will rise. Now, if that was all there was to talk about, even that alone would be monumental to try to overcome. But you're also talking about road infrastructure. You're talking about utility infrastructure that needs to change: water, sewer, electric, gas. All of those things need to be restructured and improved to be able to provide the area the services that it would need. Those things are going to increase your costs. They do not come. They're not taken on by the companies themselves. They're passed on to the purchasers of their product. That's the way an economy works. And guess what? If that is the case, you are now looking at increased real estate taxes. You're going to be looking at an increase in your water and sewer bill. You're also going to be looking at an increase in your electric fees. You're going to be looking at an increase in your gas, natural gas fees. All of these things will impact McSherrystown to no benefit, because when you infiltrate that, when you invest that many more cars into this area, this particular solution, and I will give it that term, solution, is nothing of the sort. It is going to simply move the traffic, and then new traffic that's coming in is going to try to find alternate routes around the worst case scenarios. And there is where you're going to see the exact same problems going on in McSherrystown, that we cannot safely cross Main Street. We cannot safely walk down some of our streets without the parking on both sides of the street, etc. Thank you. Hey, Joy, welcome aboard. Danny, thank you for joining us. Jen, thank you. We want to thank all of you that are listening tonight, and all who have come through here over the past 6 months. So this coming, and I'm going to look at my notes here because I don't want to screw this up. There is a meeting, I believe it is October the 10th, and someone will hopefully correct me on that date, in Hamilton Township at the fire company. It is, again, I'm clicking here, so please bear with me a little bit. It will be with it will be with the Hamilton Township Board, and they will make a decision on whether or not to move forward or to give the approval sounds good. Okay, you see the comments in Facebook. I do not. I don't know why. I don't know why. I see them on Jen's phone, thankfully, but I only see up to a point. So if you have a question that you would like to ask, please text or instant message the Tim page, and we'll be glad to address that on line. Hello, George. Welcome aboard. I want to talk again about that meeting that's coming up. We need to pack the place, folks. Let me take the next step in this conversation to tell you that I am not personally, and I don't know anyone I've talked to who has a concern about the Eisenhower extension. I am not against finding solutions and coming up with a plan of action to address this issue. The issue I have is the amount of development in the short period of time, the injection of so many different properties, so many different developments in a short amount of time. Folks, think about this. Your fire companies are bleeding right now. They have very little in the way of volunteers coming on board. They have very little in regards to excess funding for new apparatus. With all of these new homes coming in, think about that. Those individual groups will not be able to sustain themselves. Saves has already talked about and proposed an increase in the fire tax to address the issue of the increase in services that they have to provide. They cannot continue to do things with the level of volunteerism that they've seen, and as a person who's been involved with volunteer groups for the past 25 years, I can tell you that it's dwindling in all areas of our lives. So can we go without a fire company? Absolutely not. Can we go without paying for that fire company? Surely not. But can we go about development in an area, in this particular area, in a more phased approach where all of the different service agencies are accounted for and discussed and are partners in those decisions? That is the way reasoned development goes about. And unfortunately, this road that we've been talking about, frankly, now I think we've been discussing this road, we as a community of Hanover, Adams County, and Southern York County, for probably about 50 years, 45 years. It just cannot go through the way that this is going about. It's impossible to sustain that level of growth around it. It's not the road that's the problem, folks. It's the development around the road, excuse me, that is the issue. So what do we do about it? And I've asked that question early on in this process to people I trust and respect, and their conversation and their comments to me, it needs to be level. It needs to be steadied. We cannot allow this road and the extraneous situations that go on around it to cause more problems than they are actually going to solve, or worse yet, exacerbate the problem. So there's a couple other things that are going to be going on. The residents of the 169th District, and that includes Glen Rock, Hanover, Jefferson, New Freedom, and Railroad boroughs, of course, Codorus, Heidelberg, Mannheim, Penn, Shrewsbury, and West Mannheim townships. Your state representative, Katie Klunk, is going to hold an open house to get feedback from you. And if I were you and you're in these groups, in these areas, please put it on your calendar. Her office is at 118 Carlisle Street in Hanover, and it is going to be held, I believe, from 4 to 6. I do not have a date on here, unfortunately. So I will check with the powers that be here, and we'll get a date up on Tim for you. Again, the what am I want to say here? The comments I'm not seeing them come up as I normally would. Jen was nice enough. My wife was nice enough to let me her phone. And again, I apologize for not looking at the camera. I know. You know what? Make comments. It's okay. Your bald head is showing. But again, I intend this to be a very lighthearted conversation tonight, as much as humanly possible with the subject matter that we have. So please, text me. Just let me know where you're watching from tonight. Hopefully, you're all within the relative McSherrystown, Hanover area. But you can contact. There's a couple other things you can do here. You can contact Representative Katie Klunk on her Facebook page. You can also contact, if you have strong feelings one way or another about the Eisenhower Extension Project, you can go to www.Eisenhower Drive Extension. That is exactly how it sounds. Eisenhower Drive Extension, no commas, no underscores, no dashes, .com, and a /pound sign contact. So please. There we go. Here we go. Now I've got a date. See, if Danny would just tell me these things and say, you're an idiot, Dan. Don't just look at the paper. It says right there, Thursday, October the 10th. That would be the day after tomorrow, folks, and it's going to be held. This is your Hamilton Township zoning hearing. A decision is expected on that development that Thursday night, this coming. So please, if you care about how the services and the environment and the society that we live in is going to be for the next 20 to 30 years, and the challenges that we have today and helping solve them, this development must not proceed. Again, I'm talking to you now, and it is an opinion piece here. I'm telling you that, in my opinion, this cannot go forward. They are going to hold that meeting, that zoning hearing, at United Hook and Ladder. It's on 21 North Bolton Street in New Oxford. I don't know if I'm looking at the CC. I'm hoping, Danny, correct me if I'm wrong. I know you're watching, so thank you. That tomorrow. Okay, so that was tonight. That's why okay, so tonight, if you are, let's see, what time is that? 7 o'clock, so it's going on right now. We're going to be done here in about 10 or 15 minutes. If you've got a don't get enough of Tim here tonight, DeLone Catholic Broadcast Network is live streaming the DeLone Catholic Senior Night for field hockey with their parents tonight. And you can see that on DCBN tonight after Tim. Our next meeting, and it's the last one, folks, the last meeting before the general election, November the 5th, will be held tomorrow night, Wednesday, October 10th, at 7 o'clock in the Borough Council chambers. Now, McSherrystown residents, this is a meeting that I believe strongly that you should attend. First of all, there is a lot of information that McSherrystown needs to have in regards to this Eisenhower Extension Project. There is also information that's needed from our council in where they are here October the 8th on our 2020 budget. So we are exactly a month and 20 days. Well, am I doing that right? Did I do the math? That would be November. So we're 2 months and some odd days away from voting on a budget. We have heard nothing in regards to a budget for 2020. That would be a good conversation to have, considering. I'm looking at the notes here. It says Thursday, Hamilton Township meeting at 7 o'clock. Representative Klunk will have her open house from 4:30 to 6 p.m. That Thursday. So that is something you can go and give your feedback to her. And also then from there, head up to Hamilton Township to New Oxford and voice your concern in regards to the Eisenhower extension. I want to remind you that all of the Tim recordings are now on YouTube, so you can watch them uninterrupted. As you know, sometimes we have our own little thing here. Okay, and George Staub has posed a question, and I'd like to keep you guys involved. Why should we pay for a development? Why should we pay for development of an area that is not our own? Is my question. We will not benefit from this in any way. George, you're absolutely correct. We will not benefit from this in any way, shape, or form. We are forced, because of our logistical land layout here in McSherrystown, to absorb the increased costs without any benefit of revenue. So the need for McSherrystown residents to become educated on this is immense. I think that a lot of people felt the same way I did months ago before I began to look in, I don't want to take credit for other people's work, but started to be educated by others who have done the work effort, where I thought, wow, you know what, if we get this road out there, all this traffic from McSherrystown, all this traffic coming down Main Street is going to move out there, and I'll have a quick and easier road to get to work and back. Unfortunately, that's not the way it's going to work. What's going to happen is these developments, two of which that we are aware of right now, are contingent on the I'm watching this in replay and I'm seeing my hands go like this. Sorry, I talk with my hands. I apologize. They are contingent on the Eisenhower extension going in. So they don't take the best interests of this area in the frontal lobe, as they say. So I suggest that even if you have plans for Thursday night, and even if you don't live in one of those areas that the Hamilton Township covers, still please go. You will be affected by this in any capacity, in many capacities. Let's see. Wednesday night is the final Borough Council meeting. I'm hoping that you will come out. I'm hoping that you will, at the very least, sit and listen, absorb, ask questions if you so feel the desire. However, don't expect too much of an answer. But I think that there's questions that need to be answered, and this coming meeting, we will see where the council stands on what their plans are, hopefully, for the future. These notes are from yesterday because we were supposed to be on last night. But I'm hoping that if you did have a need to change or alter or renew your registration, that you did so. Yesterday was the very last time. The deadline was yesterday to change your registration or register in the first place to vote in the November election. If you are registered and you will not be in the area, you can still vote. And I know a lot of people have heard the term absentee ballot. That's not just for military folks. If you're going to be out of town for any reason and you cannot vote in your voting precinct, you have until October the 29th to apply for an absentee ballot. And you may vote. And I know there's people who have actually filed their absentee ballots already. So that would be a good opportunity for you to handle your duties as a citizen to vote. Of course, the municipal election is November the 5th of this year, 2019. The Adams County polling places will be open from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. If you have information or you need information about your polling location, or you have questions about this coming election, you can go to www.vote and that is with an S, votespa.com. And you will be able to ask, or at least be able to be directed at where your questions can be answered. Let's see. We're at about 30 minutes. I have a couple of things I'd like to point out to you. The October schedule. What is the date today? Yes. Okay. So I just wanted to double check, make sure I was giving you correct information. Of course, again, I'm repeating myself. The Borough Council meeting is tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Then our areas do have our area municipalities and boroughs. Also, Hanover Borough has a meeting on the 8th for their police pension. This is I'm not going to. Pardon me, I'm not going to read all these, but the fact that these dates exist in the community is incredible. I'm seeing Public Works, I'm seeing Economic Development, I'm seeing the Library Board, I'm seeing Public Safety, I'm seeing Recreation Board announced meetings that identify what these subcommittees are going to be talking about and when. Or at least when they're going to be talking about them. So, for instance, if you had a concern about the weeds that are growing up in the McSherrystown basketball courts or tennis courts, that would be a meeting for Parks and Recreation that you would want to attend and say, hello, I'm a taxpayer. I would like to pose a question to you. And that question would be, why are we not dealing with it? And that would be a good question. In case you were wondering, today, Tuesday, October the 8th, there was hydrant flushing that went on in McSherrystown and Hanover. I suggest if you're just now getting home, run your water for a couple minutes and allow the clearing of those lines. Usually, me personally, I've not seen too much of an issue with it today. But I think for the safety's sake, take care of that. October the 26th. Let me just clear up one thing here. They are going to do that same hydrant flushing on the east side of Route 94 tomorrow and Thursday. So you'll see them in your area. It says, please refrain from drawing water during these times that the crews are in your area. I'm assuming that you'll be able to know that just by seeing the flushing. That's a fun word to say, flushing. October the 26th is the next drug take-back. That is being sponsored by the McSherrystown Police Officers Association. It's going to be held at the McSherrystown Moose between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. I apologize to Danny because she did such a great job in getting graphics put together. And I've been so lax in using them. Just not used to. I'm out of my element here a little bit today. Trick or treat. Trick or treat. It's going to happen this October 29th. Now, this is a conversation. I'm going to take a little bit of time right now and just have a conversation with those of you who work and live at a place that causes you to come through McSherrystown. From personal experience, I have seen the speeds, the evenings of trick-or-treat far too long. We have a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit as one example on Ridge Avenue in McSherrystown. At all times, it's 25 miles an hour. During the evenings when we have trick-or-treat, there are people who are flying down this road. I asked the McSherrystown Borough Council at the last meeting if they could please address this issue. I'm sure that Ridge Avenue is not the only street in the borough that has this issue. It's, of course, no fault of the police officers themselves. They're out in force that night. So are the fire companies, which they do volunteer at the corners to keep to help the kids cross the road. But in McSherrystown, not unlike my Ridge Avenue location here, there is some spots where it's very, very dimly lit, dimly lit, and as my brain seems to be right now. And I'm afraid, very, very, very strongly afraid that one of these days we're going to have a situation where someone's going to get hurt. So I ask you to please slow down. At all times, please obey the speed limits. We have children up and down North Street, Ridge Avenue, South Street, Delone Avenue. They're playing now. As we get colder, thankfully they'll be inside more, but please slow down. You're not going to be able to see a lot of kids because they'll be in dark outfits. Please don't have that affect your life or the life of a child. I appreciate that on behalf of myself and my family here. But I ask also those who have the control, the power in McSherrystown to please emphasize and take action that can possibly keep people from getting to those speeds. Let's see. I think I've said enough. Again, I want to reiterate with you. Tomorrow is the McSherrystown Council meeting. On Thursday is Hamilton's zoning board hearing in New Oxford. Please, if you have the opportunity and the ability to get there, it is on North Bolton Street in New Oxford. Please see if you can get there. I would love to see a grand number of people show up to that meeting. Then, of course, tomorrow there'll be, again, the flushing of the hydrants. So if you have questions, if you have any comments, I'm going to take I'm going to take an opportunity right now to say this is a commentary from a candidate. I would like and encourage you, if you have questions about anything, anywhere I stand, anywhere any one of the candidates that are running for Borough Council this year. If you give me a second here, I will try to Tim, I want to thank you for putting up with me tonight. Next week, Danny will be back in this, well, not this chair, but she'll be back in a chair and take you through what's most likely to be an eventful month coming down to the November election. So for Danny and for all the candidates, myself, we want to thank you for joining us on Tim, and have a great night.